Hi, Gail.
Hello, how are you?
Well,
Well,
this is a weekend I am not looking forward to at all, as you can probably guess. And once it's over with, I'll feel much better, I think.
yeah, agreed. Yeah, I think a lot of people are just stressed about it. It's going to be, yeah, tough to manage. Might be a really long day.
Yeah, it could be a very long day. Did you get, I sent you an email just a short time ago.
I have been in meetings since 1:30
Okay.
today. Yeah,
All right.
so
It was a simple request. And since Steve is here, could we have maybe we're planning on doing this anyway, a discussion about the rate reduction of both timing and amount. I'm
yes, we'll cover it.
Quite concerned about this.
Yep, it's on our agenda for tonight, so we'll decide on that.
Terrific. Meanwhile, the garden grows. I didn't plant you any any grape-sized tomatoes this year, at least in my Bob Groves and I. Bob went for a wholesale arrangement at Harvest Farms in in Whately. Well, you buy a 6-pack of seedlings. Is depending on where you go, it's pretty pricey, and so we're trying to dig into the wholesale situation to bring the plantings down. But I picked up my tomato plants today, but grape tomatoes are not a part of it, I'm afraid. But
oh well, it's all right. There's so many great local farm stands and things around here.
yeah,
I'm sure I will not be wanting when August and September rolls around. Well, I talked to Graham earlier today. I know he's coming.
I stopped by his place yesterday, and I think we discussed many things, including those lovely new 9 phone National Grid poles that were put in. Did he tell you that? National Grid has put in, high voltage, the whole works up to Graham's neighbor's construction site, with the 9 poles, and the electrician is unable to get. This is how he did a meter box.
Meter box, 40 weeks.
40 weeks. Can you imagine that? Oh, we're economically, we're in deep doo-doo. If you can't get a meter box in that amount of, well, it's a good time not to be doing construction, including a certain project that the Shutesbury Library folks have in mind. But anyway, I won't get into that. No,
we'll say that for Saturday. Say that for the library free zone.
Jim, I did want to ask you, I saw there was I got an email from Becky about this meeting last night to answer questions about the budget.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, gee, should I be there if there's a question about the MLP budget? But I wasn't, so I didn't.
Well, it was worth missing. It's sort of I won't go into the details, but nothing regarding the broadband committee or anything remotely connected to it came up.
Good.
And if so, I was there. And if so, I would have been there to answer those questions. So
I figured both was true, so I wasn't concerned about it. But
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, don't lose any sleep over that, please.
Hello, everyone. Both what were true?
Both what?
Both were true.
Both?
Steve, did you say both were true? No?
Yeah, there was a meeting with the FinCom and the select board last night online that people could ask questions about the budget and the warrant articles. And I thought, well, gee, should I be there online in case there was a question about the MLP budget warrant articles? But I wasn't. And, Jim said it didn't matter. There was nothing about that, and would have been there to answer them anyways.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, got it.
All right. We have a fairly large agenda tonight, so let's let's dive right in. All right, we need to approve the previous meeting minutes from April 20th. Can I have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Is it April 20th or 27th?
Thought it was the 20th. That's the third. Oh, you know what? We moved it because I was
we moved
traveling
it.
then.
Yeah.
You're right. Sorry.
Yeah.
It's 27th. My bad.
Okay.
That's
I'm
the,
I'm in my motion.
Okay.
and it's
Second.
meeting, minutes as amended, because we did make some
Yeah,
Mhm.
changes.
I plugged in all of your revisions about a week or so ago, which is what I usually do. I usually wait until everybody comments and then sort of crank out a finished draft.
Yeah,
which-
I got
which you could
that,
have read.
Jim.
Okay.
Thank you.
Great. All in favor of accepting the minutes from the 27th as amended?
Aye.
Aye.
Great. All right.
Speaking of minutes, and we have Craig on board now. Craig had questioned whether we should have in the minutes the financial report that the current balance that I report each month. And so I thought, maybe we should just have a brief discussion about that. I would say that I'm making, this is a report in a public meeting that's being recorded. It seems if I'm giving that figure out, it should be in the minutes.
Yeah, I'm one who doesn't believe everything has to be in the minutes, but my only concern is that some person, I don't know whom, will look and say, they have a balance of $20,000, why don't they reduce our rates? Or more than that. Sometimes our balance, how high do our balances get sometimes?
Like 100,
Yeah.
120
Yeah.
something.
I
Yeah.
would-
Yeah, right. But it's right before we have to make a $100,000 debt payment. So
Right. And so
we could easily if anybody did question it, we can offer an explanation.
So maybe every time it's in the minutes, it should say a balance of X to be applied against amount due on day Y of X. You know what
I
I'm
think
saying?
sometimes I have mentioned
Mhm.
things like that, but then it's like, well, how much detail
Well, it tells
in the
them-
minutes?
It tells them, yes, this is a big number, but it's being applied to an even bigger number. And so, no, you can't touch any of it.
But I have sometimes mentioned that it's really building up, but that we've got this big.
For sure.
So,
Yeah, I mean, we all understand that. That's
yeah.
I'm not worried about that. I'm worried about somebody reading one set of minutes and taking things out of context. That's my biggest concern with any of this, is people taking things out of context and starting a next door battle.
But
Yeah.
by the same token, we don't, as you've said, Craig, we don't want to go into a whole lot of detail in the minutes either.
I do
Yeah.
understand. I
So
do
we're striking a balance.
So my view is either you don't mention the balance, or you mention the balance and the debt that's coming up, but not half. That's my suggestion.
Yeah. I feel pretty neutral on this one. We have not to date had anyone go back and look at our minutes and read them and question anything. I
True.
think that, that we have a pretty good, no one's watching us closely because they trust us.
True.
At this point. I'd be glad to defer to Jim on this one to make the choice about whether or not to add a parenthesis in there about to be applied to future debt or in our retained earnings or not. And if that doesn't happen, I feel confident we can shut down any kind of next door firestorm that happens.
Right.
Yeah.
I've just been watching and being involved in some of the next door firestorms, and they are
Yes. I understand that sensitivity very much.
they are simply ridiculous, and they will grab onto the smallest thing and turn it into.
Yeah. I think we're largely sheltered because we're not controversial.
Yeah.
And, and people are happy. If that changes, we perhaps should look at our minutes more closely if they should start to get scrutinized.
Sure.
Yeah. Let's see, HUT report, Graham, You had a nice hut visit today.
Yes, I did indeed. In fact, today, Lee Masters, the network engineer for Sheld, came and gave me all of our routers, our GigaSpire routers, which will be available on Saturday. If you want to see me, I'll just hand it to you, and it's got your name and it's got your address. No, your names on them. So because each one of them he has assigned, they've got MAC addresses, and he's kind of got each one labeled. And the hut was in good shape. I showed him, what a lovely hut it was. He thought it was a lovely hut. So that was good. He was looking at our spares, and I told him that Crocker has some in storage as well, and that we keep a track, approximate track of stuff. And I pointed to the box outside for drops and drop repair, and I noticed the lock looked a little odd. It wasn't pushed in. It wasn't recessed as normal. And I found that whoever the last contractor who had used a drop or whatever had inadvertently left it unlocked. So
Oh no.
it doesn't have great value to a lot of people, but one wouldn't want to leave the box unlocked. So anyhow, I opened it up and showed Lee Masters our drop spares, and he saw that was good. The box is still fairly full, so that it didn't get emptied in. And we noticed that there were wasps in the lid, so I might put a sign. So we still had security, I suppose. If you'd, but not much security. Yeah, so they didn't sting us. So what are they? Hornets, white-faced hornets. They're not that aggressive. But so I will.
Great.
Okay.
They're terrible.
They're the worst.
They're the worst.
Depends on your experience. But anyhow, I'll put a sign on the thing, and I checked the gas, so the propane, and it's around 70%, which it always seems to be. So yeah, we don't use much, I guess, in reserve. And maybe it runs the stove in the. Is that for the stove in the town hall? It's just the generator.
Well, it is
that.
No, it's for their generator too. It's
Yeah.
for both
There's
generators.
two generators exercising on it. It
Yeah.
doesn't go down very fast yet. So.
And the stove in the in the town hall is electric.
Oh, okay, all right. So there isn't much of a load, and it goes down very slowly. So there's our hut, looking good, and I got trained on by a real pro on heat pump maintenance, and it's exactly like what I thought. Clean a single. It just happened that I got the whole house air-based heat pump for this house, and so he trained me on the annual. How often you should do it. I should do it more often in the hut. So I will clean the screens in the air handling unit. So.
Well, thank you. Do you want a promotion with that new expertise, the new certification you got?
I think absolutely. You should call me something else now.
Our HVAC specialist.
Yeah. Okay. That'll be good. I'll wear a little black.
An extra gold star for Graham.
Yeah, extra gold star. And I'll skip ahead to the.
So Graham, so Lee Masters was happy with what he saw.
Oh yeah, he thought it was a pretty neat looking hut, And he's a very operational sort of a guy. He worked for Comcast. He got his training with Comcast sort of networky stuff. So but he's got computer sciencey background as well. So he's got this nice balance that I like of both practical out in the field and theoretical, So there were 25 help tickets this month, and a few of them were just administrative tasks. I can't remember why on the 27th of April and the 28th of April there were 6 outages of the internet.
It was the power outage. I'll talk about it in a little bit.
Okay, all right, yeah. So and there was not much else to remark. You know, a couple of cancellations, a couple of turn-ons, so administrative tasks, and then a few voicemail questions, and you know, all the normal things. So 25 help tickets in a month. That's kind of a very average month. There were 8 drops repaired by the 4th of March, which was about the same as last year.
8 drops.
Yeah, 8 drops.
And just
Total,
March?
not
Yeah,
March.
sorry,
total for-
Total, yeah.
Total by the beginning of March. They're always a little behind on that, but that's about what we had, you know, by March then. And there were 6 new installs or install requests by last month. So that's also kind of comparable to the new installations from previous years. And nothing else too astounding to talk about from that aspect. Unless Gail, you got, well, yeah, Gail, you had the 28th of April. What the power outage did say?
Yeah, I'll talk about in a sec. Steve, did you have a question for Graham?
Yeah, Graham, I just wanted to ask, what is Lee Masters' position or title again?
He's called network engineer, and he so yeah, not operations manager, but network engineer. So
Network engineer for Shell.
yes. So and the really wonderful thing, the totally enjoyable thing was we went into the town hall. He sat down and he showed me. He just showed me all the things that he can do, and Shell can do, and Netegrity can do when Shell has gone home for the night. Of looking at, you've got a problem, this is everything happening in your home, this is how it was happening, this is, so it was really like, you know, it's pretty darn slick. And they only have to fix to the ONT, as we know, on our contract, in South Hadley, and their customers, they fix all the way to the router because they've got managed routers, and we can talk about that later too. But it adds $1.50 a month now for a managed router, cloud managed sort of service. So it's not much. Let's talk about that when in the right order.
The 8 drop repairs was from when to when?
There were 8 drop repairs by the 4th of March, but like I said, that was comparable to other years.
Beginning from when?
Oh, from the beginning of the year. So this is but I wouldn't put it in the minutes. It's just kind of operational hoo-ha.
Maybe just put repairs
on track.
On track was same as last year. No increase in repair average.
There you go. Average repair quantity.
Yeah.
I only look for trends. Yeah, I don't worry about the particulars. No.
All right, so we're to the financial report. Steve, why don't you give your spiel, and then we'll talk about setting MLP rates.
Okay, well, the current balance is, but I will say on the current balances also, this is my calculation from my spreadsheet. This is not the figure you would get from the town accountant. She's working from the town meeting appropriation. What I'm looking at is an actual revenue and what we've paid in actual expenses. And so we have a balance of 51,519.
What was that again, Steve? Sorry.
51,519. Otherwise, on financial, you know, the money, I bill Crocker, the money comes in from Crocker, I pay the bills. It's all pretty straightforward. Gail and I will be meeting next month to plan, in addition to the big transition, what I call the grand transition to Shell, there's also the petite transition of my handling the finances to Gail handling the finances. So we're going to meet next month to work on that.
Yep, figure out that process. So town meeting is on Saturday, as everybody knows. And what I'd like to do in advance of that, if we can, is to set our final MLP fee for our subscribers for the next fiscal year. Now, Steve sent around in advance those great budgetary spreadsheets. And at the last time we talked about this, we kind of agreed, well, it could be $38 a month for that, and still keep a really healthy reserve, keep building that, and meet all of our operations obligations. So one thing I would like to propose is that we do, instead of doing a $38 a month MLP fee, we do 40. It's a nice even number. And here's the reason why, is because we are looking at doing managed routers in the future. And that's going to be at least $1.50 per subscriber. And talking to Shell, they said that, Calix does not raise their expenses very much. So they're expecting that to hover around $1.50. But I want to build that in, because I don't want to lower rates now. And then in about 3 years, when we go to, or not even less than that, if we start, letting customers get these new U6 routers, I think that we're going to probably head that way, that there's going to be a new monthly expense with them. And I don't want to lower rates now just to raise them in the near future. Steve's making a face at me. What are you thinking, Steve?
No, why not? I mean,
Yeah.
a lot of rates go up. And so if, a new expense comes into the managed router, we raise the rates then. But right now, we don't need this money. And the fact that 40 is a round figure doesn't matter to me. I wouldn't see as really relevant here, because customers not charged that rate. It's rolled into the total customer fee. We don't break out the amount of the MLP fee. But in addition, there is significant cushion in our budget, even at the $38 rate. One thing, we're talking about not instituting the reduction until Eld comes on board, which is a month. There's a month delay there. So we're going to go the first month of the new fiscal year. My understanding was our plan was to go for the first month, July, at the $52 rate. And Crocker will be billing that early in June for bill due July 1st. That gives us that's over $10,000. That is additional revenue that we're not actually accounting for in the budget. The revenue is based, our total revenue is based on the current spreadsheet we have on 760 customers. We're running 769 customers now. We've been over 760 for about a year. We were at 708 a while ago. There's another $1,500 in revenue. Several of the expenses we have in there, we've never had to pay. But I leave it in the budget for the idea we might have to pay it. So I don't see the need for doing this. For having I don't see the need for having a user fee higher than $38.
All right, so
Jim has got his hand up.
Yeah, you go ahead, Jim, and then I'll talk.
Okay, well, I'm not in favor of 38, and I even think 40 is a little bit on the low side. I would go with maybe a $10 reduction. And for two reasons. First of all, and I would delay putting the reduction into effect until mid-fall, 2 or 3 months. Let's see how Shell works out. There's so many changes that are about to take place. And let's, to throw this into the works as well, I think is just inviting trouble. I think we ought to delay it until the fall. And the second thing is, in the macroeconomic picture, we are headed into real trouble nationwide and probably even locally as well, with the high interest rates and the inflation rate over 8% and a looming recession. And I don't know if you watched what happened to the stock market today. It was down over 1,200. It was 1,200 points. We are really heading into recession territory, and there's going to be a lot of economic pain going around. And that may mean that people will stop paying their bills, and that it could be a disruption to the money that is coming into us, from our subscribers. I think we ought to be conservative about this. Anyway, that's my opinion.
Yeah.
But to me, lowering our rates is the best way to keep our subscriber base up. Having to cut something that a lower bill is going to be less incentive than cutting a higher bill.
Well, there may be people who just stop paying altogether. It's really hard to predict what is going to happen. I think with the economic uncertainty, plus the fact that we're in the middle of a transition, this is just not a good time to throw that into the mix.
I don't think we want to start predicting macroeconomic crises. It's not our job. I think predicting that a whole bunch of Shutesbury customers are going to stop paying their bills is.
Well, Craig, I didn't predict that. I'm just warning you about trouble. Trouble time is coming.
Predicting that a significant number to is wild speculation, and I don't think we should be. Yeah.
Okay, Graham.
Yeah, Jim, I agree. Shit might hit fans. Sorry to say that on a recorded meeting, but I think I agree with Craig that we can't be expected to anticipate that, and if we have to do crisis management when a crisis happens, then it's just like a storm. I mean, we've got our stuff out there on poles. So I think we just have to take our chances on that. The wonderful thing about our 3-year contract is it's a 3-year fixed prices contract for most of our services, right? There is not even an inflation thing in any of it, is there, Gail? Is that true? Maybe some of the service stuff, or maybe we'd see it with materials. We did a great thing by front loading, but we don't know what other materials that beyond what we've front loaded and bought early that we may need to buy. And then yes, well, services, will we see an increase in that? No, because they're fixed rates in our contract. Yeah. So
the only place we could see it is if Massachusetts does something like increase the whatever, I forget what it's called, the minimum wage allowance or whatever that we have to adhere to. So if they raised those, that could be a big budget item by kicking our labor fees for maintenance up.
Good point.
So that is a possibility.
Is that prevailing wage, Gail?
Thank you.
Yeah.
That word.
Does that apply to our service contract?
Yeah, it does.
Yes, we have to.
Try why I got in trouble. Try why I got fined $60,000 for not doing it.
Yeah, I knew, but that was on the construction as opposed to the service. That was why
Both.
Yeah.
So yeah, I agree, Jim. Bad stuff could happen, but But we're it's not our job to and it's the old thing of if everyone thinks we're going to go to war, then we go to war. So it's better not to sort of say, it's better not to set expectations for things, because expectations fulfillment.
Well, I think the more important reason, though, is the fact that this is a transition, and let's just see. I mean, there's so many things that could go right and go wrong, and yes, beginning August 1st. I think we ought to just give it a little bit of time before we go into this. That I think maybe I'm being too conservative here, but I would favor just delaying it, just to wait until things settle out, and then apply the reduction.
Yeah.
We
So
have
Jim,
great-
yeah,
we have
another-
great reason for believing Sheld will do this because they're good at what they're doing, and HGE are good at what they're doing. So yeah, that's transition. And Gail, I guess you know more about the transition than I do.
Yeah, I'll go over the transition plan. You can, and this might help allay some of your concerns. And Jim, I do agree with you that this is a big transition. It is. I'm a little bit overwhelmed right now of all the things that need to happen for it. Sheldon, HG&E are being great about it, as is Crocker. We're all meeting weekly and working as a team to make sure this happens. If something does go wrong in this transition, I think the important thing to remember, Jim, is that it's not going to cost us any money. So even though things could go wrong, it's not going to be a monetary hit to us, unless it's combined with something else like a weather event, which has nothing to do with a transition per se. So, I'm not worried about mixing our reduction with the transition, because the transition is not going to affect that. And one reason I think to combine them together and time them this way is it will help it would help our customers see that the transition is a good thing. Our goal is to make it largely invisible to everybody, and as well get better service, and see when that transition happens. Wow, look at this, my bill has gone down. Now, I realize that it has nothing to do with with a new provider. It's all about our paid off debt service, but it's all about kind of marketing perception here. It's a way to make customers really happy of like, wow, the MLP made this decision and to switch, and we no longer have Crocker, and now it's branded as Shutesbury Net, and my costs are going down by $10 a month. So that's why I want to time these together, the transition along with a rate reduction. And in terms of how much it's going to be, yeah, I think that's the important discussion we need to have. How much are we going to lower this by? I want to do a slightly less reduction because of unknown future costs that we're dealing with. In terms of the managed routers, that could be adding $1.50 to $2 per subscriber. And also some unknowns about materials and labor going forward. We're pretty protected because we have a great contract, but there's things that may end up costing more in the next 3 years. And what I'm trying to avoid is celebrating this big cost reduction now, only to say, oh, folks, it's going back up in it next year. Craig?
So regarding the managed router transition, the idea is that some people may be transitioning to the managed router, but most people are not going to, right?
We don't know. This is a decision that we're going to be making maybe in very soon in the next year, of offering these managed routers as a higher performing, stronger signal, faster router for people who want it. Okay, and I realized we could also say, this is going to tack $1.50 onto your bill if you choose to do that. But
Only the people who opt in will be paying the monthly charge, correct?
we don't know that.
And I believe they can manage. Shell said that we could have just a bunch of people opt in and not have everyone. But I believe, and I didn't get an answer on my final question to Bobby Liswell, that can the managed cloud managed router thing work with any router? You don't think so? I'm sorry, you shook your head, Craig, but I think it can. Do you think it can't?
The router has to be manageable.
Well, yeah, okay, yeah. Well, I didn't get an answer yet, so I just suspected that it might be, but I didn't know. I don't know the answer to that. So if it is, then I would suggest that we plan, that we discuss, that we look at what wonderful things that might do. Like I said, I was blown away. I was blown away by, how clever stuff can get now, and how wonderful for $1.50 extra, the potential, and maybe it's only with GigaSpire, but the potential to for them to be able to just sort of say, well, yeah, your printer is offline because you've got the wrong name on it or something like that. It's like, it's like it is so elegant what he could look at and just sort of say, the little things on my network that would be flashing on his screen as he's looking at it from, wherever he is. And so you're probably right, Craig. It probably does require the special thing, but I think we should head there. And I think that's it does meet a little bit of your concern, Jim, that if we kept it to a $40 MLP monthly, then we'd have a little buffer.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's good, Jim. And then Steve?
Is this managed router that you're obviously like, Graham, very much? I find that anyway, I won't get into a discussion about whether it's a good idea or not, but is a Shell willing to apply this managed router, a flexible managed router fee to some Shutesbury subscribers who buy it? In other words, so some people are getting
Correct.
bills.
Yes, we can do that, but that's a much larger discussion about how we would roll out these U6s. What would be the options to customers? Are we paying the managed router fee? Is it a customer choice? So it's a big discussion that we can't have right now, and that's why I want to build in the buffer, so that when we do have it, we're not locked out of this option. But Steve?
Okay, a couple things about financial cushions. I mentioned a couple here, but several other things to consider. We have a $73,000 retained earnings from FY21 is going into our emergency reserve fund next year. That's Article 3 in the warrant. I'm also projecting, unless we get some really unexpected expenses in the next 6 weeks, I'm projecting over $50,000 of retained earnings for this year that we will, by October, we will have access to. So I'm seeing we've got a really good cushion here going forward, as well as the cushions that are in the actual operating budget.
Right.
I also want to say that the warrant has been published. It is out there, and the warrant has Article 4 has our budget in it. And when you get down to the bottom of our budget, it shows monthly fee $38. This is what the Finance Committee and the Select Board voted to approve. This is what is in print. This is what people are going to pick up at town meeting, or may have it's online. They're encouraging people to print it themselves before town meeting. There'll be copies at town meeting. People pick up the thing to say, okay, Article 4, vote in the operating budget of 346,560 for the MLP, which includes, my MLP monthly fee of $38. And then I'm going to say, well, it's not really 38. We're going to make it 40. And so the total budget will be $2 times 760 times 12. It'll be, so many $1,000s more. We're going to have to actually, because it's a higher figure, I think legally, we would have to recalculate that and ask for an amendment to Article 4 to have the higher total budget that's being voted in. And I'm questioning, do we want to do that?
Yeah, bummer. Okay, I missed that. I wasn't expecting our MLP to actually fee to be published.
Yeah.
Well, just look at the warrant. It's our.
Oh, no, I understand. It's there. It's done. It's done. It's fine.
But even if that $38 fee were not published, if we go to a different fee, then our total budget is different. In other words, we're asking the town to appropriate a budget of $346,560 for the MLP, even for the enterprise fund, even though it's not coming out of town funds. Part of the state law for enterprise funds is the town meeting has to appropriate that total amount.
Okay.
That
Well,
amount is calculated by taking the user fee times 12 times a figure that we've put in. And I've put the figure of 760 in, which is a conservative figure. We're at 769. So we know it's going to run higher than that. But we've put this in print. Here's the figure. So
Good. Let's go with that then.
I think actually that answers it.
Published.
We just need to stop talking about it now because it's published, it's out there. It's I don't think that we can I didn't realize this right now. So
That's okay.
let's move on. Let's move on. We'll work with it. If we have to raise rates next
You have to
year,
raise rates, yeah.
we'll have to raise rates. And it will be at a point that people will just deal with it. Hopefully we can add some of our reserves maybe to make that stepwise raise less, if we need to. So let's move on. Yeah.
I wish we hadn't gone down this $38 road. We didn't discuss this before.
yes,
Oh, yeah, we did. I remember this.
38. I don't remember this.
I remember it.
Yeah, we did discuss it. We didn't really, I think, make it an official vote at the last one. We did go over this budget in depth before the last finance committee meeting, before we met
At the
with
February meeting, it was part of the budget.
Totally.
It's been part of the budget all along, because if you change the rate, what it does is change the emergency reserve line item. It's a spreadsheet I've made that does that.
I remember it was well discussed, and yeah, it's good. We've solved our problem and we have, if we wanted to go to Gigaspire, then I would suggest we could use some of our reserve capital for equipment, because this would be a we could subsidize everybody's Gigaspire who wanted to buy one. So.
Yeah, there's I just did out the math. It's less, like, say every single one of the 760 customers got the Gigaspire at $1.50 per month. That's less than $14,000 per year. So we can work with that. The other thing is letting the people who want it pay for that.
Yeah.
People who don't want it don't have to pay for it. We still have options. Again, like I said, let's move on in the future. Let's make sure that our discussions about what the MLP fee is going to be is, like, we're all on board with it before our budget goes to press. So Steve, we can announce on, I know you have a spiel that you've figured out, that which I think is a good plan, just kind of giving the background about explaining to the townspeople why are we voting on this budget. The big takeaway point that we need to get across to them is this does not take taxes. This no tax raise. It's all revenue based, and point out to them that this big lowering means that their bill is going to be about $60 a month, plus taxes and fees for internet.
The easiest way to say it will be how much it goes down by, because
Yeah, you're right. You're right. Well, yeah. Why don't you just say it'll go-
everyone's going to have to do math in their
Yeah,
head.
yes.
And they
Across
won't
the
know.
board, $15 a month for the bill you receive in
Perfect.
even
Perfect.
July.
People understand that.
Yeah, and can I as I Craig, your turn.
Oh, no, it's fine. I say your thing first, because mine is.
Oh yeah, and that is, I remember vividly, and a lot of people will remember that we voted at a town meeting to borrow money. Let's be very clear. Let's tell them that the MLP income is paying down all of the debt, that there is hardly any money that came out of taxing, because that is something that most people, even I, as I've watched it all happen, and I keep on, I always marvel that we're paying the debt off with subscriber income. So thank you.
Craig?
Oh, I'm just thinking next door. So you've all been following the controversy about the school roof. Someone's going to say that savings is about the amount that the taxes are going to go up for the library. So this was all a scheme by the
This is all a ruse.
liberals on the broadband.
Yep.
Library.
I fully expect this is going to happen. Yes.
Not being
Yep.
cynical.
And there's nothing.
Nothing we can do about it. I know.
There's nothing we can do. We're just, it's going to happen. It's going to happen. People are, and here's someone else is going to point out that us putting the order of the articles in the warrant.
Oh yeah, that
was-
already. Yeah.
That's already in there. So anyway, it's going to happen. People are going to make their own opinions, have a tough skin. We're going to move on.
I'll try to lay low.
Yeah. Jim?
A question which is somewhat related. Not long ago, Crocker was able to knock a fee, off of those fees that we have to pay every month to the government or whatever. I don't remember specifically which one it was, but it made a significant difference in the bill because, well, what was it? There was a fee.
I'm pretty sure we were getting taxed inappropriately for internet, which is not a taxable thing on the federal level or something.
Okay.
It was the
they can only do
state,
phone.
it was the Massachusetts sales tax. I've got the email somewhere, because I actually, when I got my own bill, I found, why'd this go down? And I emailed Kathy Whitney and asked her, and Crocker had contracted with some tax advice company as to what services that they provide are subject to the Massachusetts sales tax and which were not. And they got bad advice from somebody. So
Good job. Good job spotting it.
So we won't have to face the same situation with Shell.
No,
that's been worked out.
Yeah, we're good. We good. And Sheld is, I assume, intimately familiar with tax rules and charging because they're public utilities in Massachusetts, so they will understand all this.
Yeah.
Yep. All right, I'm going to move on to the manager report. Earlier, we had made note of the outage that happened from late at night on April 27th, going into early morning hours on the 28th. So what happened was the building in Shutesbury, in Springfield, that holds Crocker equipment had a power issue. The problem was it was not a outside building utility problem. It was in the building only. So electricity was still coming in. So the generator didn't kick on. That was a backup system. Crocker saw the alarms. It was kind of a normal thing. And they ignored it because they always did. And it was a configuration problem. They have corrected that. So if this happens again, they'll be notified sooner. After 11 hours of it alarming, the battery backup just ran out. And that's when the calls started to come in of loss of service. So they're also getting more robust power backup there. They're going to double that capacity for 24 hours. And like I said, they've already fixed the configuration issue that prevented them from getting the alarm appropriately. So anyway, it's they fixed it. It's not going to be really applicable to us in a couple of months. But it's good that they've addressed it in the short term by fixing that configuration. So if something like this happens again, they'll be alerted to it sooner.
Sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
HG&E also has facilities at that same address.
It was Crocker. It was Crocker's UPS stuff that screwed up, it was particular to their battery system. They have these big battery systems that ran for 11 hours. They didn't know that it wasn't working properly because they hadn't configured it properly.
But I'm thinking it was the power,
well, they set a power bump, but you know, there are bumps. This is why they have big battery things. When something really bumps off, then yeah. So it was their explanation wasn't something we have to worry about the whole building, because that whole building, UMass has their stuff in there too. There's not a power bump glitchy problem with the whole place. It was
okay.
It
seemed like a reasonable thing to
their configuration.
Make sure HG&E doesn't have any power problems in that building.
Yeah, no one has any problem. People who have configuration problems have power problems. So
okay.
Yeah.
All right. I hope you all got my Gmail invite about our big tour day scheduled for June 28th. That's Tuesday. All of you indicated you could make that day, so we're scheduled. We're locked in. Steve, thanks for that suggestion about combining the afternoon with an Holyoke Gas and Electric tour. It was a great idea, and they're all for it. What's that, Craig?
What was the date again? Sorry,
Sorry, no problem. June 28th. That's a Tuesday.
Perfect.
Yep. So the agenda is we'll do a 10:30, and don't worry about keeping this in your head. I'll certainly be sending out better details when we get closer, but about a 10:30 arrival at Sheld. We'll do some introductions. We'll tour the Sheld facility till noon. We'll do lunch from noon till about 1:15. We'll transition over to the HG&E Network Operations Center at 1 Canal Street, which is just 2 minutes down the road. And then from about 1:30 to 2:30, we'll do an on-site tour plus a virtual tour of their other sites. They said they could set us up in a conference room with big screens and get a virtual tour of the places we're not looking at in Springfield at that time. I thought that was pretty cool. We'll try to wrap everything up around 3 p.m. So basically, that whole chunk of the day, please reserve it on your calendar. We'll send out better timing and more details when we get closer. But I was glad we could find a date that worked for just about everyone on our team and almost everyone on their teams.
Great.
Yep. Let's see, town meeting. So we talked a little about what Steve's going to say. Steve, I'll walk up there with you, and so we can both, wave to the crowd. Be sure to introduce yourself, introduce me in case we both speak, and I'll let you do most of the talking unless there's a question directed at me. Let's see, Jim. how are we doing on Wi-Fi coverage? This is going to be a very well-attended meeting. I think we should plan for about 300.
Well, I have the same 2 routers that were used last year. I just checked them out a few days ago to be sure they were all set up properly. They're set up exactly the same as they were last year and haven't been used since last year. So
Great.
they're sitting right beside me here as I type away, and that's what Graham and I will be setting up shortly, a little bit after 8 o'clock on this coming Saturday.
Great. And the password is still password capital P?
Password is password, and it's town meeting 1, 2, 3, and 4. There are sort of four choices that a town meeting attendee can choose.
Okay. And
And
what
I
are
think Jim found that 155 people
Yeah.
can log into each
Yeah.
one, so 310.
Yeah,
And everyone doesn't log in, so you know.
yeah. So if they get a message that it's full or they're unable to log in, just try a different one.
right. Yeah, in other words,
Because
yeah,
town hall guest will still work.
Yeah.
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 2 and 4 are the high-speed connections, and 1 and 3 are the low ones, are
Okay.
the slower ones. But not that that makes a lot of difference.
All right. You said 155 on each?
155 is the maximum that the Linksys routers are able to connect with. That's what that's what they're set to, essentially.
Great. And I'm sorry, did you say the password with a capital P or lowercase
No,
p?
lowercase, all lowercase password.
Okay. Great. I need to find some poster board somewhere around here, and I'll put that on the podium again.
Okay.
Yeah, that'd be good.
Yep. So
And
Steve,
Jim, whatever time you want me to come, I'll come when you want to get there. So you can tell me.
I'm going to get there at 7:45, 7:45 to 7:55, because there's so much to.
I'll definitely be there
We
by
have
8
to
o'clock.
vote and do all those things beforehand,
You bet. Okay.
and then this FinCom stuff.
I'll be there at 8 a.m.
Sit there and happily exist. The 7 of us, or somewhat unhappily exist, I guess you'd have to say.
Okay.
all right, great. Everything you just told me about town meeting 1, 2, 3, 4, 155 people on each, password, all of that. I'll put it on some poster board that can go on the podium, and I'll also type up a little thing that Paul can read, our moderator, at the
Mhm.
beginning of the meeting. And just have, last year, I remember people kept asking like, what's going on with the Wi-Fi? And Paul didn't, like, I'll just give him something to read.
I think it was a year before. I don't remember a problem last year.
No, I don't think we had a problem.
Yeah. I'm sure it was
Yeah,
a year
it
before.
was one year that we just had trouble like communicating, like, this is available, people, and here's what to do. So
Yeah.
anyway, we'll just make it, there's going to be enough to talk about. We want to make this part as easy as possible.
Yeah, don't tell them 155. They'll get to it's more information.
Yeah,
You're right. You're right. Just that I'll say something like
Yeah.
each one has a capacity. If it's full, just move
Right,
on to
yeah.
the next one.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yep. Okay. One order of business that we need to take care of is reappointing all of you, if you so choose. I assume you choose as broadband committee members, and reappointing me as an MLP manager, assuming you want me to continue. Yes, Steve?
Oh.
Oh.
I knew you were voting.
I believe it's the select board that would appoint the members of the MLP committee.
I'm so sorry. You're absolutely right. We need to recommend to the select board, please reappoint. Yeah. It's
okay.
not, we're voting. I need to tell the select board, hey, please vote at your next thing to reappoint. So all of you want to.
We're available. So we're available. I'm available. There you go. That's what they want to know.
All right. Are you all available if the select board wants to reappoint you?
Available. Yeah.
Available?
Yeah. Well,
Okay.
Cool. Provided I'm voted in, of course, I'm the only candidate.
Oh, yeah, you could be in
No,
trouble.
this
then,
is separate. Wait, no, this is
Oh,
separate.
oh,
This is a
oh,
separate
oh,
thing.
oh,
This
okay.
is the select board appointing as a broadband committee. So it's not the election, Jim. That's something completely separate
All right,
of
all right.
you being elected.
Like me, you can be unelected, but still be on the.
Yes. And like me, I'm unelected as well. Not elected.
So what do we have to recommend? Run that by me again, because I'm
Yeah.
just typing something.
So the all current members seek reappointment from the select board. And I will let them know this.
Okay.
And then the next sort of business is that I need all of you to reappoint me as the MLP manager because my term expires on 6/30 if you'd like me to continue. So if one of you wants to make a motion to reappoint. And then
I
vote.
move that Gail, that we recommend once again to the select board.
No.
No, this one is our board vote.
Cool, okay.
It's so confusing. I'm sorry.
Okay, I move that that we vote to reappoint Gail as the manager of the MLP
Second,
for another 12 months.
12 years, didn't you say, Graham?
For another 12 months? It's a
12
12
years, didn't you say?
12 years, yes, for another 12 years. Okay. However you want.
Yep. All in favor? We'll do a voice vote on this because it's official. Hemingway,
Aye.
Sefton,
Aye.
Schmidt.
Aye.
Great. Thank you. Okay. Anything else that anybody wants to discuss before I go into describing the details of our transition plan?
Just one thing that I would say before you put when you get your GigaSpy thing and you install it, before you do that, just walk out to the limit of where you Wi-Fi call your landline or Wi-Fi call whoever you live with if you can, and then walk away from the house and see where it drops out. And you'll be able to do that even with a voicemail. If you've got a landline voicemail, you'll be able to tell when it drops, and then go back about 10 feet toward the house and or 20 feet and see with our Linksys where is the point roughly that you can create, that you can do a Wi-Fi calling from outside, and this will give you some sense of the perimeter of Wi-Fi calling for Linksys. And then I found that that Wi-Fi calling, that it seemed to have doubled the size for my house. Now, everyone's router is in a different place in their house and their characteristics are all different, but it's an interesting experiment to do the same test later when you have a Linksys router when you have a GigaSpy router, to see if Wi-Fi calling, because one of the big problems people have is Wi-Fi calling, and it's just nice to have a more robust Wi-Fi calling experience within your own house. That's mine. Oh yeah, I'm done.
Great. Yeah, I'm excited to see how these perform.
Yeah.
I have to say, I have not been overly thrilled with the Linksys Wi-Fi calling.
No.
It's been okay, mediocre. Yeah.
You guys may not know this, but I have multiple. I have a router and access points, and if I move around the house and switch between them, I often lose Wi-Fi calling.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yep.
Well, that's cool because you will have the mesh. You'll have the mesh thing with this. Oh, and one last thing about that.
I have that with Linksys, but it's just not.
Yeah,
working.
I know you do, but this will test whether you can do it with the GigaSpy meshing. That it meshes better. And the one thing too, and maybe I'll try and remember. I'll put on the boxes 1 and 2 because you've got to get the U6 talking as your router before you plug in the mesh unit. Otherwise, the mesh unit will try and be your router.
Right.
So you got to get your main guy up first. I'll put 1 and 2 to remind you. Unit 1, unit 2. Okay, so all done. Oh, all done. Why is it holding it?
Okay, I'm going to share my screen. Okay, so we've been working really hard to get this transition off the ground. I'm really pleased with the progress that we've made so far. This is our master shared Google spreadsheet that I and everyone at Sheld has access to. So you'll notice all these tabs at the bottom, kind of putting each transition task into a silo. This first one is just kind of our general catch-all list. And this is the one that I'm really focusing on, is our customer transition tasks, doing things like building a new informational website about the transition, drafting the initial email that Crocker is going to send out to our customers to tell them about this changeover, and do a soft kind of trust handoff, saying something like, in the coming months, more information about this is going to be coming from Sheld from this email address. And the tasks that each customer needs to do, this is the only part that's not invisible for this transition, is setting up new billing, checking off a yes for a customer service agreement, and after the switch takes place, setting up their voicemail again if they have phone. So other than that, everything is kind of being taken care of behind the scenes. And we, if you're an internet customer, all you have to do is set up a new billing address with, or billing information rather, with Sheld. Let's see. So the date that we're trying to aim for is July 27th. This is purposefully a couple of days before our contract with Crocker technically ends, so that they're still contractually obligated to be around and help us. So far, they've been great. I'm not concerned about this, but it just makes me feel better that they're still contractually obligated throughout the transition. Let's see. The phone number is transferable. So the support number, I don't know if you remember, but I'm really glad that we made that phone number that we're getting transferable. The little stickers that we put on everyone's ONT for tech support does not change. So it'll just be rerouted to Sheld after on the switch date. Another thing that we're doing to help customers is we will have on-site help desk, either at the library or the town hall, on the days following the switch, in case anyone has a big problem. Again, this should all be seamless. Especially for internet, there's nothing that's gonna happen that's gonna break anyone's equipment or make them, change passwords or anything like that. Mostly I'm anticipating people may need help with phone. So we're gonna have on-site a technician, but also a customer service person from Sheld to just answer any billing or other questions folks have. And I'm going to have a truck just rolled and available with that technician. So if there's somebody who just like, I just can't get my voicemail set up, they'll just drive to that house and set them up. In addition to 24/7 phone and email support, we're going to have a couple hours, well, I guess more than a couple, like basically 2 half days of on-site support as needed. I know it's an expense, but it's a small one to keep our customer base happy.
The on-site tech support will be at the town hall?
To be determined.
To be determined.
It depends on like,
Here in Shutesbury. Okay.
yeah, just say here in Shutesbury.
Gail, do you know people like Steve who have Crocker email, and you weren't being billed for Crocker at Crocker email. When yeah,
They will be charged.
okay, so you'll just get it. They'll just get a different bill. They won't be dropped.
No, they won't be dropped, but they will be billed separately by Crocker.
Okay.
Very, very few customers got an email with Crocker, you know,
Yeah.
and so I know Steve's even predates our, you know, our network.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, it was, I have that because they were my dial-up provider.
Yeah.
And then it switched to a Verizon hotspot to a HughesNet satellite dish. But it stayed the same thing, and I've given that address to more and more people. So, yeah, I'm not concerned with the transition at all.
Yeah. Someone else asked me, and I told them to talk to Crocker, but I just wanted to make sure that when they shut off the billing, yeah, I figured Crocker would know how to do that.
Yeah. You know what? Let me make a little note on Tim's list here. About this. I should probably put something on our FAQ page about it.
Yeah, that's a good idea because yeah, someone
You don't need to remind them that they need to send me a bill.
Yeah, but they won't be shut off. That was
Yeah.
their biggest concern. Yeah, but yeah, no.
How about the voice, the voice, telephone, sorry, I'm trying to do the typing and then think at
It's
the
all right.
same
Take your time.
The voicemail and things like this, or the voice, the voice response to phone messages and stuff like that. That seems to me the most the trickiest part to the whole process.
Indeed, it is the trickiest part, and the part that makes it the trickiest is that there's nothing that we can do to front load that, right? I can't tell them, great, go and set up your voicemail now so that it's all ready on the 27th. Nope. They can't do it until the 27th. So the messaging that I'm going to be sending out through Sheld is something to the effect of mark your calendar to take these steps to set up your voicemail on the 27th. You can't do it in advance. Here's what to do if you have trouble, and do a very clear step-by-step of what they should do, and also have that posted on our support pages. And, we'll have 24/7 tech support available. Unlike the support that Crocker has offered, we will have actual 24/7 tech support. You can call at 3 a.m. and you'll reach technicians that can actually support you, not a callback. So
Okay.
I'm looking forward to this aspect of it. Another question, Jim?
No. That's what I wanted to know.
Okay. Let's see. So I've been working with Lee and Bobby Liswell about how to get an integrity. They're their 24/7 subcontractor support vendor, how to get them trained for us specifically. So they're working through the Linksys router manual. I sent them our manual for the UPSs, the battery packs, and they're already familiar with the Calyx gear, so the ONTs. So how to diagnose and fix issues remotely, and also our policy about a truck roll of when they kind of cut the customer off and say, well, that's internal home equipment. We don't roll a truck for that. So let's see. Oh, here's something. To ensure that this all goes smoothly and we have a great process to transfer the customers, I've chosen about 24 people in town. All of you are included on this list to be, we're calling it the friendly switch. of just people who are friendly to us and our cause. Most of these are actually town officials and also people from our volunteer list, all those great people who went out and counted utility poles for us. I'm going back to them again and saying, we need your help again. The ask is for them to, and all of you, to basically switch early. So sometime in early July, just all you'll do is you'll go through the process of this switch. You'll get early emails from Sheld, the same emails that are going to go out to everybody else, just get them earlier. And we'll switch you over to Sheld services probably a week or two before everybody else. The purpose of this is to kind of smoke test our process. Where do people get tripped up? Where are directions unclear? Where are the problems that happen, so that when we do the whole town, we'll have already identified those and fixed them. So there's nothing you need to do about this. You'll get an email from me in early June asking if you're willing to participate. And basically the ask is, are you willing to switch early? It's not going to save you any money. It's not going to cost you any money early. You're just going to do it before other customers. And then the third part is providing me feedback about how the process was. Were the directions clear? Did you get tripped up? What didn't work? What do you want differently, so that we can implement those improvements when the rest of the town switches in a couple of weeks.
Gail, you're not taking any chance in being in this group? Just kidding.
Well, I can't.
Yeah, I know.
I can't. I don't have a home anymore.
Right.
So.
That's a good reason.
Yeah. Yeah, don't worry. I'll learn plenty about it during the switch.
Yeah, we'll all tell you. Don't worry.
Yes, don't worry. That's the whole point. I'll be collecting the data from all of you about how it went.
Yep.
All right. So I've been really impressed so far with Holyoke Gas and Electric. I just, a lot of these technical things, it's not my forte. I don't know how to handle the technical parts, but they're just like, here's a example of what they've been doing to set up, like pre-set up our phone, and just knocking off the tasks, getting us ready. I mean, I don't even know what this is. Finalize 1500 main Cisco 4331 configuration.
Well, 1500 Main is one of the internet hotel locations.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Gal, are you able to share the share this page with anyone you want, like us?
I want to give you, let me look at that again. Right now it's kind of completely open for the Sheld team. I want to give you read access, but not edit access. You're certainly welcome to give me comments. I just don't want you to accidentally delete stuff.
Only would only want read access. Wouldn't want to mess with anyone else's program.
Yep. So let me put this on my task list to get you access. So if you want, you can keep track of how we're doing.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Okay. All right. And Steve, I am working on the financial back office transition things too. It's just lame right now because we haven't gotten very far with that, but that's fine. We have plenty of time to do that. I think this is the Crocker's list. I had to separate it out because some of the stuff on the Sheld list is proprietary that they didn't want Crocker to know. So Crocker's list is separate here. And why did I want to show this to you? Oh, Steve, I got an agreement that what we'll be getting from Crocker is we'll get a final customer report on August 15th from Crocker. And around that time, also our final remittance of payments for the MLP fees that they collected for July.
okay.
And then by October 1st, we will both work together to do kind of a final true up for any outstanding repairs. And they agreed that they could do that totally complete by, with all their vendors, repairs, whatever, by October 1st. So I know that actually I'll be tracking this, but I just wanted to let you know I am
Mhm.
planning on kind of what the closeout of our accounts with Crocker is going to look like.
But I mean, Shell, I assume will be billing in July for service effective August 1st.
Unknown yet. That's something that I need to talk to their business office about, of like, are you going to start billing in July, or is it going to be an August 1st first bill date? That's what I'm kind of moving for, is for them to do an August 1st bill date for services in August. So it's not quite such a big lag time as what we had with Crocker, and it's more current. And also they don't get double billed in a month. So anyway, I'll work that out with them.
Well, no,
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna,
the last bill that Crocker sends should be the one that's going out early June, just in a couple of weeks, because that's Crocker bills ahead.
July
So-
1st, July 1st is when they build.
Well, no, they send their bill out.
Usually the bills
in
follow
the
about
bill-
15, the actual physical bill follows about 10 days after they actually bill your credit card, which is on the first day of the month.
That's
But no, but Jim, if you look, it's preceding, because I actually get paper bills from them.
Yeah, so
And
do I, yeah.
what,
Yeah,
and the bill that will be coming out from Crocker in June will be the bill that's due July 1st for July service.
I think you're correct, yes.
So the last bill that Crocker sends should be the bill they're sending out just, early in.
Just now. Yeah.
I
All right,
mean,
well,
because Crocker was sending the bills out kind of late in the month, and people complained that they weren't getting enough lead time to make the payment.
right.
So Crocker says, fine, we'll send the bill earlier. They're not delaying the date it's due.
oh,
So their bills come out fairly early in a month, due the first of the following month for service that following month, because they are billing ahead. Crocker says the due date is the first of the month for that full month. So,
so when is Crocker going to hit our credit card for the last time? Will it be May 1st, June 1st?
July should be July
It
1st.
should, yeah,
July
it
1st.
should be July. And just let me talk to Sheld about what their billing cycle is. It may be the same, it may be different about when they're sending these out,
Mhm.
when they expect it to be remitted. And also, I'm going to make a note to myself that we should maybe include a little letter in the first bill saying, like, welcome to your new service provider. Go here to learn more information.
So the first Shell bill will arrive sometime in early August is fundamentally what you're saying.
Don't know yet.
You don't know.
It should-
Okay.
To be
It should
determined.
be, I would expect it would be in July, due August 1st
that would make sense.
for service month of August.
Yeah. That would make sense, because otherwise people won't have time to send it in and whatever, know about it. Yeah.
And I'm also assuming this bill is going to be a bill from Shutesbury Net, not from
Yep.
Shell,
Yep, it'll be white
But it-
labeled.
but it'll probably have a mailing address of a PO box in South Hadley, I'm guessing, although we don't.
Also to be determined. Yeah.
If
Yeah,
you were
I mean,
mailing
it
a
also
check,
could be Texas. I don't know how they do their billing,
Yeah,
right?
But we could ask them to keep it on the same cycle as what it already is, right? That they probably could manage that if we told them, right now that everyone gets their bill for next month early, and was midway. It's just the end of the second week or something of a month for next month. So
Yeah,
that-
I think instead of going with what we've always done, I'm going to ask them what's best for customers and see if, see if we can make whatever we do going forward match that instead. They have far more experience with this about, what's the best date to send the bill and what's the best date to set the deadline for that. And, we still do have the 30-day grace period built in. I am going to talk to them about extending that a bit during our first 2 billing cycles. There's going to be people who fall through the cracks and, don't get around to setting up their billing. And I don't want their service to be cut off prematurely.
Yep.
So we'll try to work that in too.
But how many people actually, do we have any numbers on how many people actually use their credit card? Like I do, for example, to pay for, the service. Is it 50%, 75%? I mean, I guess I
That's
don't,
invisible to us.
we don't know because
No, and it's kind of irrelevant because it's it all depends on who's going to set it up going forward. And they'll, we'll encourage people to do that. And I assume people who do it already will want to do it. And maybe even some new people will say, oh yeah, as long as I have to, set up this new billing information, I might as well set it up for auto pay.
Mhm. Yeah.
Any questions about the transition, any red flags, anything I've said that is concerning, or any big pieces you think we're missing here?
Gail, I would be interested in if you could put me on the read-only access to the whole transition.
Yeah, if I can figure out how to do that, it'll be an all or nothing thing.
Okay, good. Okay.
And if there's no way to do read-only access, then I don't think Google has share groups. Anyway, I'll figure some way to get the information to you. It could be something like every 2 weeks, I download the whole thing and just email it to you, in its current state. But
Okay.
anyway, I'll figure it out.
That'll work. That'd be good.
All right. Anything else?
So this is a pie in the sky wish list, but since we're going white labeling, ideally, all communication with Shell would go through a Shutesbury PO that we could just switch to the next vendor. And similarly, ideally, when you set up your credit card payment, it would just continue through the next transition to the next vendor. I'm sure neither of these is possible, but
Yeah, I'm certain that there's no way we could do transfer credit card information from
No,
company to company. That's
absolutely not,
that's a nightmare. It's probably a federal offense.
Yeah.
But yeah, but the PO box, could we do that? A mailing address?
That'd be a pain in the butt for them to have to come and collect their checks out of a PO box here.
or we'd have to pay to have it forwarded, but then it would get there late.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
that wouldn't, no, that's no good.
Yeah,
Just throwing it out there, and then
I like your thinking. I like the idea though. I like it.
'cause that's what white labeling is, right? It's supposed
Yeah,
to be
yeah, right. Everything's invisible in the background.
Right.
But
Yeah,
there's plenty of bills you pay to a business that don't go where the business really is. It's to
Good
the
point.
person they've contracted with. Like our tax bills in town is,
right.
there's
They go to Woburn or something.
Woburn, Mass.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and no one worries.
Yeah.
No, but it doesn't change every 3 years.
Right,
Yeah.
but it doesn't matter because they send me an envelope they just send me an envelope, where to send my taxes. And
Oh, you mean you're talking about the remittance has the correct address and
for
month to month?
example. Yeah, for an example.
Oh, yeah.
And it's in the envelope. I don't care. It's Woburn for taxes, like you say, and
But in principle, if I'm buying my internet from Shutesbury Net, things shouldn't change when Shutesbury Net underneath does a a change in white label provider, right? That's,
But Shutesbury Net could be changing their billing contractor. you know.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, going forward, we can keep the look and feel of our bills the same. With any vendor could do that, so we can do that. But yeah, I don't think there's any easy way to keep the address that those go to
I figured as much.
consistent without lots and lots of hassle.
I figured as much, but I thought I'd throw it out there.
Yeah.
Next generation, I don't know.
Yeah, again, I like the idea and we can do more going forward. I like the fact that our bills are going to come from Shutesbury Net and that people are going to really understand now who is providing their internet.
Yeah,
Right.
that's the important thing.
Good. Yeah, it's yeah. And it's who they pay. That who they pay is who they get the internet from. They're going to understand that.
Yep.
So. All right. I guess that's it. I'm looking forward to seeing most of you at Saturday's meeting, and yeah, we'll see you then.
Okay.
move to adjourn.
Sounds great.
Very good.
All right.
All right.
Have a good night, guys. Bye-bye.
See you on Saturday. Bye-bye.